Welcome to Kapeleris Ultimate Talk TV. Be inspired, informed, and elevate your mind one step at a time. Talking about life, real estate, business, and beyond. Your host, author, speaker, real estate broker, Carmela Zita Kapeleris.
Welcome to another episode of Kapeleris Talk TV. My special guest today is Tim Syrianos. He has been on CBC, CTV, Omni, Global, and more. He is the president-elect of the Toronto Real Estate Board. Again, here is Tim Syrianos.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you for coming. What does it mean to be the president of the Toronto Real Estate Board?
Well, it's actually quite exciting, but it's also very humbling. The Toronto Real Estate Board is the largest real estate board in the entire world, and it's really an opportunity to make a positive impact in the industry. To be nominated by your peers and supported by your peers is quite an honor.
Yes. Oh, I know, it's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many licensed realtors are there in the GTA right now?
Well, right now there's about 42,000 members who are actually part of the Toronto Real Estate Board, and that may sound like a very large number. However, in reality, if you think about the geographical reach that these members have, it's quite large. You go as far west as Hamilton and as far east as past Bowmanville, Oshawa region.
Yes, that's huge.
Tremendous.
What types of services does the Toronto Real Estate Board provide to its members and the consumer?
Well, the first thing people think of, obviously, is the MLS, but that and is a great vehicle, no question about it. The MLS provides an opportunity for all members to showcase properties and to have a very collaborative, cooperative approach amongst members to sell properties. However, it goes a lot deeper than that. From a member-to-member standpoint, it provides a lot of added value when it comes to professional guidelines, arbitration in case there's ever a conflict resolution, and something that nobody really sees behind the scenes is the amount of media involvement when it comes to lobbying to make homes a lot more affordable, like they're lobbying the government for different services and needs.
Yes, that's true. And we have another body called RECO, right?
Correct.
The Real Estate Council of Ontario. But TREB also does a lot of regulating with its members too, or reconciliations.
Yeah, so TREB is not really a regulatory body, it's a member-to-member service that's provided. There's sometimes in the public eye some confusion with who regulates. It is definitely RECO that regulates the real estate industry. However, you are correct, Carmela, that TREB has two main facets. One is professional standards, and the other one is the arbitration process.
And it also protects consumers' privacy.
Oh, no question.
Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It's all over the media, obviously. Privacy is the main point that the Toronto Real Estate Board wants to make sure it maintains for everybody who hires a realtor.
And there is a rumor, maybe that, or maybe it's true, that selling prices are going to be made public on MLS. How will this affect the consumer's privacy?
Well, that is not actually accurate. I know the media is discussing from different people maybe that this is imminent, it's going to happen. It's obviously what the Bureau has asked for and what's been going on. However, there's nothing in the mandate to actually reveal sold prices. At the end of the day, I think that sold prices being open to the consumers is not a bad thing if the property closes. Because if the property is not closed, and for whatever reason it does not close, and you need to remarket the property, I'm pretty sure
that might be a problem.
A very big problem. So who are we really protecting here and trying to help? The consumer needs to be protected with that privacy. Exactly.
So hindsight, I don't think the prices should be made public. I think things should stay the way they are within the industry.
Staying private until closing would be the minimum at this point, because prices after close are public information. It is public information. But before a deed transfers, until keys actually transfer, having that information public could be very damaging to the consumer.
Exactly.
This is not an industry protection thing. This is all about the consumer.
Yes, that's right. Now, you entered into the real estate industry in 1989.
Correct.
and you have a beautiful wife and 3 children.
Thank you.
And now you have a firm of more than 260 agents.
Correct.
What has impacted your real estate career?
Well, it's one thing is very hard to pick. I would say that it's several things. Number one, as you've mentioned, I started in 1989. It was a market very different than today.
Very different.
For those of us who remember the early 90s, we would have transactions not come together over an appliance not being included.
Exactly.
And heaven forbid we hear that magic interest rate number of 14%.
14%.
And as realtors,
right.
Practicing at the time, we used to actually have to buy down interest rates.
Yes, that's right.
Down to an affordable number of, say, 9% or 10% to make a
Right.
transaction actually come together.
Yeah.
So I think going through something like that has been very valuable. I've also mentioned that many people who have graduated from post-secondary education in 1997-98 have never seen a recession.
That's right.
So it was very big impact on my career to learn the industry this way.
Yeah. And remember the power of sales in
They were
1990?
power of sales. That's correct.
Yeah.
So in looking back, doing a lot of leases when I first entered in the industry was very, very valuable to me.
Yes.
People weren't ready to commit to real estate. However, 3 years later when they were ready, they were already my clients,
Yes.
would be number two. And I think another one would be surrounding myself with the best realtors. People who were committed to the industry as a career and as a profession, and not as a part-time hobby. And that was very impactful.
And yes, and it's very, very important, and the industry has changed a lot since then.
Immensely, yes.
Yeah. What is the one thing that you want to accomplish or change or do in your term as president of the Toronto Real Estate Board?
Well, the first thing is that I need to disclose is that the Real Estate Board is operated very, very well. It's a fantastic organization for its members and for its consumers. Something that I would like to see continue on is a lobbying towards government, not to be so involved with trying to add more red tape or more regulation. Affordability in the housing sector is very difficult for many people, and providing services or incentives to make it more affordable would be a great start. The other thing that I would like to continue to improve on is the professionalism. As I mentioned, being around full-time professionals is something that I've always loved, to be around those people, and the professionalism is very important to me.
And Tim, what can we do to improve the professionalism in our industry?
More education.
More education,
is power.
higher education.
Higher education. If it was up to me, I would continue to. I mean, there's a lot of education right now.
Yes, there is.
There's a lot of education, and we're mandated, as you know, to take continuing education as well.
Yes.
There's also other courses that can be added. We live in a global economy now with a lot of different ways of marketing.
Right.
As you said earlier, it's also a very different industry than it was 25 years ago.
The world's coming smaller and
becoming
smaller.
smaller and smaller. So that professionalism could be attained by having more of these types of courses.
Perhaps make the course a university level course?
Well, right now RIA is a college, and there is that course there right now. However, more courses before you get your license would be a valuable added service.
Tightening up on the rules a bit.
And the rules, yes.
Yes. The present market is surrounded with multiple offers.
It is.
What is driving it?
Well, a lot of people talk about foreign investment. I think it's a lot greater than that. I think it's a simple economic view that we have a supply issue. What is old is new again. People are coming back into the city. They want to live in these really hip, downtown type properties, and there just aren't enough to go around. And we need more product on the market to really balance it out.
Right. Do you see foreign investment slowing down anytime soon?
At one point I did. I thought that as the economies of the world change, that there might be a slight vacuum in Toronto where you start seeing investment happening in other parts of the world. With our dollar dipping, it's actually made foreign investment more attractive to Canada. And Toronto is a very wonderful destination of choice. So I don't see it.
And
well, it's safe. We have great
dollars
policies. The interest rates are, as we know, what they are, and it's a beautiful country.
Yes,
it's a beautiful city.
Sure. For sure.
Yes.
Tim, How is the Toronto land transfer tax interfering with today's market in regards to the lack of supply?
Well, the land transfer tax is something which the media and a lot of consumers haven't really realized its impact over the last several years. The cost of actually moving has increased dramatically.
Exactly.
And many people point to real estate fees. However, the double land transfer tax is a tremendous chunk.
Yes.
So in the
huge.
days before, people used to sell their property for, you know, $500,000, and at $800,000 would be able to buy something that had an extra bedroom, a
Yeah.
little extra lot, extra garage, a finished basement. But once you add these added costs, it makes a lot more sense to renovate
Right.
than it actually does to move.
That's
So
true.
these costs have really impeded the supply coming onto the market, which has driven up prices.
Yeah, I believe that's so true. But there is a benefit to the land transfer tax for first-time buyers. They're eligible for a rebate, correct?
Well, the rebate is not enough to really change what the
Yes.
cost. You know, first-time buyers are struggling enough to save 10% to actually buy property today,
That's so
let
true.
alone adding an extra tax in the city of Toronto. So if it was up to me, I think the tax should be brought back to some point. Let's try to find some middle ground. We understand the city needs funds. At the same time, it's not a tax which is going to help the overall economy.
And TREB and OREA have been lobbying for this for a very long time.
We are great partners in this.
Yes.
You know, we lobby all the time.
Yes.
And it's, you know, the big concern is what happens when the cranes are not as many and there aren't as many sales. How will the city cope with a decreased tax to begin with?
Yes. Yes.
Increase
so we
it?
have to look.
That will be even worse.
That'll be even worse.
Yes.
In lieu of all the multiple offers, Toronto Real Estate Board introduced Form 801. How does that affect the transaction?
Well, Form 801 is a form which is mandatory now with all realtors when presenting an offer. Under a regulatory body, we have two choices. Either we keep a copy of every offer, or we keep a Form 801. The Form 801 is really an overview of what the offer contained,
Yes.
and a lot easier for paperwork purposes. So Form 801 is really in the event that there are multiple offers, and a consumer feels, well, were there 5 offers? Were there 7 offers?
Right.
Were there 3 offers?
Yes.
Well, it's more of a way of kind of auditing the process.
Right.
It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's more transparency, and I myself, as president-elect, have always been open to transparency.
Right, right. Yeah, it was getting a little bit out of hand, and we needed more regulations on multiple offers.
It's not a bad thing at all.
There is another form which buyers and sellers have to sign, and it's called Fintrac. Can you
Yes.
explain the Fintrac?
Well, Fintrac is a federal initiative,
Yes.
and its main purpose is to try to eliminate terrorist activity, like for financing and money laundering. Once again, as realtors, we are obligated to verify that the owner and the buyer are who they are, and we have an obligation to actually report suspicious activity.
Yes.
I never shared this with you, but I've just received a letter that
really?
our brokerage will be audited for Fintrac.
Really?
So it is something that is a very serious process. We have no concerns with our paperwork. It's always
Of
done
course.
impeccably well. But it's just part of the process, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, and identifications like passports and driver's license are all included with the Fintrac, so it's a very serious thing.
Correct.
But is Fintrac doing its part?
Well, that's a great question. We haven't really had an experience in our brokerage, and we do thousands of transactions of anything that which seems suspicious to us. And we do regular training in our office to make sure. We ask our realtors. They are aware of the consequences of not reporting something. Really, the solicitors do this work
Yeah.
at the time of conveyance of property. I think it would be fine if it stayed there.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, verifying who's selling and who's buying, not a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing. All good.
Yeah.
What are the benefits of buyer representation?
Well, I'm a tremendous advocate of buyer representation. You have a choice of being a customer or being a client. The privileges that you have as a client under a buyer representation agreement are tremendous. I just couldn't imagine giving up my privacy or my confidentiality by not being a client. The services that you receive as a consumer, as being a client, is far greater than being a customer.
Absolutely. Well said, Tim. What are your thoughts on the different types of real estate fees and business brokerage models that are in the industry today?
Well, that's a loaded question,
A
Carmela.
loaded question.
I myself do not have any bad opinion on any model that exists out there. I look at it as we are all independent business people. We wake up every day and we have a choice to make on what we offer our clients, and there's a fee for those services. As a consumer,
Yes.
it is my personal opinion that you should do your due diligence. No different than hiring a contractor. You
Yes.
want to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples and getting what you're expecting. And if you are happy with the services you're receiving for the fee you're receiving, then God bless.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I can actually tell you this, that the real estate board has never and will never interfere with any models as well. It's a member-to-member service that we provide.
Exactly, exactly. Well, let's talk about Urban Core. They just filed for bankruptcy
Yes.
protection in the pre-construction condo sector.
Yes.
What does this mean to the buyer and to the agents?
So Urban Corp hit the news. The builder has gone into protection for bankruptcy, and we've received some phone calls in our brokerage as well. We were involved in some of the sales. There are some things that the consumers should be careful about.
Yeah.
Number one is if the property wasn't registered yet, will they have to carry on warranty? And
That's a big one.
it's a big one. If the property has been completed and there are deficiencies in the workmanship,
Yes.
will the builder now come back and
Finish.
what they need to finish?
Yeah.
In the big scope of things, the banks, if they step in, will be very honorable. We've seen it before. They will finish everything.
Yes.
It'll just be a little bit more stressful.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit more, kind of wondering where people stand. The one thing I'm pretty sure of though, is that realtors won't be paid for the sales that they've made in those buildings.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is
that's
what it
too
is.
bad. It is what it is, and that's true. Where do you see the condo market going? Where is it right now, and where do you see it heading?
The condo market is an interesting sector of our real estate industry. We do a lot of condo sales in our brokerage on a personal level, and it's a very healthy market.
think so too.
We have hundreds of transactions handed in every single month, which are specifically condo transactions. What we are seeing is a lot of people buying them as investment.
Yes.
And they're not building residential buildings anymore. So you're having investors seeing this as an opportunity to buy in the sky, like to buy an actual condo
Yes.
and treat it as an investment.
Right, right.
So there are more tenants in condominiums than there were before.
Exactly, and it's very popular among the younger generation.
It is.
The new condo bed and breakfast, air bed and breakfast,
yes.
that seems to be a popular movement right now. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So a lot of consumers may not be aware that this may be actually permitted as written in their bylaws. So if it's of a concern to you, I think the first thing you should do is really have your solicitor read the bylaws to see if this is permitted. I myself don't really have an opinion either way on what's right or wrong, and I'll tell you why. From one end, a lot of these buildings already have tenants in them. Owners are allowed to lease them as they are already.
Yes.
So you have the freedom to use your investment as you wish as a consumer.
True.
From the other end, I can understand the end user, mother, father, baby in a carriage, small pet, who want to use it as their prime residence and live there, not having a check-in, check-out every single week in that building.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
my recommendation is read the bylaws,
Right.
see how you feel about it, because a lot of condo buildings may have it written right in their bylaws.
Yeah. Explain what a airbed B&B is for people that don't know.
Well,
Very
it's
briefly.
basically it's no different than being on the internet and providing short-term accommodations instead of hotels. So it's short-term furnished rentals, for consumers.
Oh, okay. In closing, what is the one thing you believe customers want the most from their real estate agent?
Well, the entire real estate industry is a lot of information.
Yeah.
And what consumers really want is to have that information interpreted properly and guided. But I've always told our realtors that in any industry, people hire consultants for three reasons.
Yes.
To save money, to make money, to eliminate stress. So
Exactly.
if we look at the main facets of what people really want, aside from the interpretation of information, they really want to be guided properly to save money, earn money, or eliminate the stress in the process.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Tim, for
It's been
being
my
here.
pleasure.
How can people reach you or the Toronto Real Estate Board?
They can reach me through my office at 416-487-5131, the Real Estate Board at 416-443-8100, or my email at tim@remaxultimate.com.
Thank you. It was great. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thanks again.
Thank you.